Hi everybody, David Frangione, Modern Drummer CEO, and this is a big day because I'm sitting behind Alex Van Halen's 2012 tour kit, complete. We got it directly from Alex, and this year Alex is honored to be a Modern Drummer Hall of Fame inductee. The 2023 Readers Poll Modern Drummer has put Alex Van Halen into the Hall of Fame, and it's just absolutely awesome. We're so excited. So to celebrate this, we brought this drum kit to IronShore Studios in Grand Cayman. And we asked Ray Luzier, Jay Weinberg, and Mike Portnoy to come down and pay tribute to Alex, playing this kit, honoring his Hall of Fame induction, and the inspiration that he's had on their drumming and careers their entire lives. So we can't wait for you to see these videos. Check them out. Alex Van Halen, congratulations, Modern Drummer Hall of Fame inductee. And wait until you see these guys play on these videos paying tribute to Alex. We're so excited. These are very special. Enjoy.
But everybody wants some. I want some too. Everybody wants some. Baby, how are you? Oh, yeah, yeah. I take a move lad looking for a movie.
David Frangione, Modern Drummer, here with Ray Luzier. We're here live from IronShore Studios in Grand Cayman. We're at Alex Van Halen's 2012 tour kit, the actual kit that he played on that tour. John Douglas designed this with Alex. What do you think of the kit?
Phenomenal. 3 words.
Phenomenal. Isn't that 4 words?
That's 4 words, yeah. I can't count. I'm a drummer. I mean, come on. Amazing. Like, custom to the helm, like just the sizes that Alex has always had some of the most spectacular kits, you know. I full-blown, you see my kits now, I have the double kick drum. It's clearly from Alex, you know. I'll either do the extended kick drum or I'll put 2 together like he did. It's just a great look. It's powerful, it's tight. This kit, yeah, it's loud. It's just a signature thing, you know.
Yeah, and this kit is just beautiful.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's one of a kind.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about, when we talk about Alex Van Halen, first of all, what would you like to say to Alex to congratulate him on his being in the Modern Drummer Hall of Fame now?
Alex, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for the years of inspiration and influence that you've given me and so many of us you paved the way for so many people. The soundtrack of my youth, I know that, and many others. But just I played drums to so many Van Halen records growing up till my hands fell off, and trying to get, you know, even the Live Without a Net. I would play along to the Live Without a Net VHS because I love the live feel of Alex in it. So just thank you from the bottom of my heart. Congratulations on just so many decades of achievement, and you deserve it, brother.
Alex Van Halen, 2023 Readers Poll Modern Drummer Hall of Fame. So you played with David Lee Roth for 8 years.
Yes, that's right, I did, David. What else you want to know about David Lee Roth? No.
I want to know that you, and everyone wants to know that you played some of the biggest Van Halen hits.
Yes.
And we're going to dissect some of them.
Cool.
What was your approach to learning the songs? Because nowadays, we've got these apps, we can take the drums out.
Yeah.
Like, there's some amazing tools.
Yeah.
There's a lot of drumless tracks just in general to, you know, source and play to.
Yeah.
What did you do then? Because this is late 90s and not a lot of technology. So what was your approach to really learn those parts?
You know, to be honest, when Dave gave me the set list for the first time, 80% of it was Van Halen. And I was like, this is amazing, you know. I'd love, you know, to be able to play all the giant hits like Ain't Talking About Love, Panama, Hot for Teacher, little guitars, you know, Jump, all the huge, huge songs. That's in me. It's in my blood. It's like
You'd played them that much?
I played them.
And really learned them?
I really learned them. And I
There's
really...
a lot of little nuances.
There's a lot of
nuances, right?
Yeah, totally. And I asked Dave, I said, hey, do you want... How true to the original records you want it to be, and how much do you want Ray? And because you know, if you're a drummer, you could see the audience, you know, in the beginning of like, you know, Dancing Another Way, they're air jamming this. You can't play another fill.
Right,
You've got to play that fill.
Right.
So there's signature things that obviously I would definitely do. Through the years, I kind of evolved. It's funny, I watch some videos of me now, or from back, and I'll go, wow, I changed that up a little bit, or I changed that up. And that's okay, because Dave was like, we want you to be you, honor Al, but be you at the same time. And as well, the same thing with Bizonette when I was playing the Eat 'em and Smile stuff. And
so you really were aligned with Dave in that. Like, you guys both obviously wanted all the signature stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And then, you know, where you had some creative freedom, Dave wanted you to, you know, freshen it up a little.
Absolutely. He was like, hey, man, give it some energy, you know, the live thing. I don't want you to drag, keep it on top all the time. But
isn't there a famous saying about playing with David Lee Roth that never drag?
Never drag, yes. That's my first thing in the studio with Dave. I'm at my drum kit, and I was playing the song that we were recording, and he's in the talkback, and he goes, someone take the bongo player to Starbucks, he's dragging. And I was like, oh, that's me, I'm the bongo player. So yeah, that was a true story. So I was like, copy that from there on out. I was on top. I pushed on top.
Wow.
There's some videos I watch of me playing HOF for Teacher that it's alarmingly fast, but he was, you know, go, 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 you know, so it's...
he's just that, what you see on stage, it's always type A when he's in the mode.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like...
He's one of the greatest entertainers that ever walked the planet, and he knows a lot about showbiz, you know, he would say, like, Luzier, don't sit behind the drums like you're waiting for the bus. Give the audience a show. Give them something. People are paying money to see you too. And it made my approach to being on stage a whole different thing to this day, you know. So, but I mean, come on, the first few tours we were opening with HOF for Teacher. So I started doing, yeah.
I mean, talk about out of the gate. You
out of the gate,
warmed up.
Running, right? But, you know, unfortunately, the infamous intro and my interpretation of it got cut because Dave wanted to come out sooner with his pole and do all his flashy showbiz stuff. Right. So unfortunately, a lot of the shows we started with the guitar intro.
Oh, okay.
Where the tapping came in.
After Alex's drum
which was like, wait a minute, is people maybe think I can't do it, or is that, you know, you kind of start, you know, but I understood when Dave, you know, what he wanted to do, would it start off with a big chord, like the famous Van Halen chord kind of thing. But playing those songs, it never ever got old because, you know, I'm looking out and there's David Lee Roth singing Ain't Talking About Love and singing Jamie's Crying, and I'm like, this is surreal. And I'm playing Al's parts and, you know, giving him my spin and my energy and things. But he was so influential to me, you know, and to be able to play his actual drum parts live was beyond a dream.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It is a dream come true. So there is a story, folklore, that you would play HOF for Teacher on the farm where you grew up in the suburbs of Pittsburgh.
Yes.
In your underwear, right? I know that's a little TMI, but that's how the story goes.
Naked.
And you were, is that true? Is this story?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I would play HOF, not necessarily my underwear.
How were you playing
all the
it?
time.
You had double bass?
I had double kick, and I had a CB700 kit, and I remember going to a pawn shop and buying a Ludwig kick drum that was sparkle blue. My CBs were metallic blue, like this flat. And I saw them like, that's close enough. I want 2 kick drums. So that was a 20-inch. I had a 20 and a 22.
Wow.
So that was my double bass.
Just because you had to play double bass.
Had to play double kick. So many drummers I looked up to, like Alex, used the 2 kick drums. And when I heard HOF Teacher, I'm like, how do I figure this out? You know. And so yes, I would drive my parents nuts because I played right above their bedroom, and I would play
2 kick.
Just
like
2
a
kick,
freight train going,
and not that great. So, so it was very interesting, and my parents were very supportive, and that's for sure. But yeah, that was the first start of playing. Literally, like.
How old were you when you got double kick?
Oh man, she's 10, 11, something like
real
that.
Early.
Yeah.
And so you get the bass drum. How'd you get the other pedal?
the punch up.
It had-
was
it
a
had a pedal
Ludwig
too?
Speed King. You know those old
Yeah,
Speed
of
Kings?
course. So
Those-
it had both.
Yep.
Somebody dropped off a bass drum with a pedal.
Came with it, $50.
Wow.
Pedal
amazing.
and the kick drum, not bad.
Wow, I love it. No, not bad at all.
Yep.
Ray, when you got the gig with David Lee Roth, were you friends with Greg Bissonette?
I knew Greg for a while, and through the years, I was a huge fan of his drumming. I was a huge fan of his band, the Mustard Seeds, everything he's done, from the Satriani record, all his sessions. And Greg, I looked up to him so much. I loved Greg since the Maynard Ferguson days.
Sure.
when
Yeah, I
he-
followed him too out of North Texas State.
So
and,
good,
yeah,
right?
He got the gig. It was great.
So Greg, I was so happy when I got the gig. You know, the Mustard Seeds had played Musicians Institute, and I went running up to Greg. I'm like, dude, this is crazy, but I'm playing with DLR. And he's like, what? Congratulations. Greg's always been a bro to me because he's thrown my name in the hat for several sessions and several things through the years, you know.
Nice. He's a great guy.
He's a great guy. And so I owe a lot to Greg because I know he fueled the fire for me getting the Dave gig early on, you know. And what a great thing, you know. And he's always playing with Ringo, and it's awesome.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah.
And so did you ask him, did you need to or want to ask him anything about the parts to start with, like the music side of it? Because you guys were doing Yankee Rose
Yeah,
and some
Tobacco
other-
Road, we did Going Crazy, we did Just Like Paradise. And again, I would play drums to those records a lot too because I was a huge David Lee Roth fan as well. I didn't necessarily ask Greg. I think at one NAMM show one time I asked him what he did because we almost played that song Elephant Gun, and it's also a double bass shuffle.
Yeah.
And there's some tricky stuff in there because
Yeah.
he's playing drums over top of the kicks that don't stop, and it was some tricky stuff. I remember asking him something at the NAMM show one time, but he's always been just so supportive of me through the years.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And what about the personality? Did you kind of say, hey, any tips for dealing with Dave?
I did. I asked him that, and he's like, be honest, be loyal. Dave doesn't like yes men. He doesn't like, you're great, Dave. That's an amazing shirt you got on. Be yourself, basically, he told me. He goes, Ray, I know your personality. You're going to do good in this gig. He goes, be yourself. Work hard, stay on the band because Dave's really a stickler about the band being on their game and being tight. And he was right about that because we would rehearse weeks before we hit the road, We'd have full-blown, Dave called them Acapulco rehearsals, acapella rehearsals. Do the Acapulco, dance the night away. And we would I would keep a side stick on my snare and we would do vocal rehearsals for sometimes a couple days in a row. So,
And he was there. He was in the trenches.
He was there. Well, most of the time he was there. Sometimes it was just us. He'd call me and go, I became the MD the last couple of years, and he'd call me up and say, this song sounded a little sloppy the other day. This one, work on this or do that, and we would do it.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Wow, what an experience.
It was a great boss to have. It was pretty surreal,
And when you look back on those years with Dave, and then that kind of transition to a certain extent into the Korn gig, right?
Yes.
There was some time. but-
Absolutely. The Army of Anyone was a good transition because it was the Leo brothers having that STP vibe and the filter. There was a little bit of electronica thing going on with the old school Zeppelin-esque brothers
Perfect
playing.
setup.
Yeah, perfect setup because it got me into this. Okay, we're moving, and then bam, Korn was it's a different animal. You don't just join a band like Korn. You really need to get inside the emotion and feeling of what it's all about. It's not necessarily the hardest drum parts. That's not the point. The point is when I got the Korn gig, Jonathan, the guys are like, we hired you for you, be you, and get in deep, and I did. Just feel it. So.
And it worked.
Yep.
That's awesome. Thank you, everybody. Ray Luzier, David Frangione, Alex Van Halen, congratulations. Modern Drummer Hall of Fame 2023. Could not be more excited. You've influenced the two of us and millions of others for so many years, and we're so grateful for that, and we're so honored to be able to congratulate you and see you be in the Hall of Fame this year. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Ray.
Cheers. Thank you, brother.
So, Ray, let's have you take us through drum parts from
Okay.
Van Halen songs.
Okay.
We'll roll the verses, choruses. You'll take us through it, dissect, kind of play the parts.
Do I get to play Alex's kit?
And you get to play Alex's
What?
kit. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you get to drive this locomotive.
Drive the ship.
And it's going to be great. So everybody, we're going to check out now Ray dissecting Van Halen songs as he actually did when he got the David Lee Roth gig, and for most of his life been playing these tunes. So check it out.
So fun. my favorite riffs in intro grooves is the intro for Little Guitars. It had such a just an impactful, fun sway to it and swing and swagger. When Eddie comes in with this part, it always blew me away. So we only did Little Guitars a handful of times with Dave, but I sure had a great time playing it. It sounds like this. Now I love Alex's feel. He always puts a swing to everything, and when it's an obvious shuffle, like the song Secrets off of Diver Down, how phenomenal. What a great shuffle groove. 4 on the floor, 2 and 4 on the snare, and just that swing shuffle he has, it's so cool. And that intro, the way it comes in, it kind of throws you, because Eddie's playing the ba 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 ba. It almost sounds like that's the 8th note, but it's actually, he's playing in triplets. So the beginning of Secrets into that groove sounds something like this. So another song from the Van Halen era that we got to play with Dave, one of my favorite Alex Van Halen grooves is a song called Mean Street. And I love this groove because the 16th notes on the hi-hat are steady, but he has this up 16th note pattern on the kick drum and instead of the down. And I always love that groove. It's such a cool thing. So my interpretation is something like this. My favorite Alex Van Halen intros that I didn't play with Dave live because it's the Sammy Hagar era. Obviously, I love that album OU812. I think his grooves on that record are phenomenal. And every time that A.F.U groove would come up, I'd always sit in my bedroom and try to play that intro groove. And it's such a cool. Sometimes I still use it at sound checks to this day on tour. So A.F.U intros like this. So one of my favorite Van Halen records is OU812. I love Alex's grooves on here. He does some really cool, like Bonham-y type grooves, especially in the song Cabo Wabo, which we're going to talk about right now. And one thing that I really love about this song is he does this turnaround in the chorus of all things. You'd never think like, wow, let's turn the chorus beat around because it's going to throw people off. But the way Alex does it, it's so freaking smooth and groovy, and it's still sexy, and you can still, you're moving your body, and it's just, I just love it. So check this groove out.
Man, I thought I'd hit the wall. There's a sleepy town south of the border. You go there once, you be there twice.
So the fill coming in is a really cool kind of quad thing. 2 on the hands, 2 on the feet. A snare roll, 2 on the hands, 2 on the feet. It sounds like this. A little slower. So for that intro fill for Cabo, I'm going to play it on the rim next to the hi-hat so you can see where it comes in after the 4. So if I'm playing 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I'm a big phrasing guy. I love when you phrase things. You can take one pattern, one line of 16th notes and orchestrate the crap out of it, right, all over the kit. You can come up with 100 different fills. I love the way Alex interpreted that fill by putting snare tom, 2 kicks, 4 snares, snare tom, 2 kicks, and then a tap. So he's got this going on. So now I just took that and had some fun with it. So you could take something and just branch off and go nuts like that. So I didn't stop, obviously. I just kept going, kept keeping that same repetitives going. And that's what I love about all drumming. You can take one little fill or one little groove and expand on it. So try that. I love this groove. It's very Bonham-esque kind of thing with the 16th note doubles on 1 foot. Check this out. So I think the key to that groove is the ghost notes and the way Al's opening the hi-hats. If you notice, there's a lot of, the hi-hats are such an important part of this groove, the whole song. It's a very slow, laid back. So the groove very slow sounds like this. So a lot of times in grooves, a texture thing, a lot of times on almost all my records, I play ghost notes. And sometimes they're meant to be heard, sometimes they're meant to be felt. You can hear the ghost notes in this groove, and it's a really cool thing. I think it like branches that out and really makes it dance. One key element I think about that groove is that 1 is planted so hard, right? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So that groove is so super intense and powerful. But that's what kind of separates it from a heavy rock thing to a funk, in my opinion. And like I said, there's about 7 or 8, probably more Van Halen songs that have these turnarounds in them. And even off of the Simple Kind of Truth record, there's a song called Blood and Fire that Alex turns the beat around right when Dave starts singing. And it's phenomenal to me because it comes in on the 1, and then all of a sudden the beat flips around. That's such an amazing ear candy thing for me. For the average listener, sometimes they don't quite get it until that groove falls on the 1. But to us drum geeks and fanatics, we love that. We eat that stuff alive, and I think it's just great. So in Cabo, the chorus is turned around like we were talking about. I'll describe how to play it. So how that chorus is played, so basically you take everything and just flip it around. So if the kick was on 1 and 3 and the snare was on 2 and 4, switch them. So when Alex comes in, 1, 2, 3, 4, and not 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. So it's on the ands, the groove now, right? It's completely flipped around. He's doing the 2 16ths in a row, and he follows them with 2 sets of 8th notes, and it sounds like this. So I'm going to actually keep the cowbell planted on quarter notes so you can hear where the turnaround falls. It sounds something like this. Okay, so that's Cabo Wabo grooves, and check out Alex's parts when he turns around like that. Some of the most iconic, even radio hits, like the song Right Now, he does that in the middle of that, and it's just such a brilliant thing, and it's still groovy, and it's still dancey, and it's awesome, so check it out. Okay, so another song off of OU 812, Finish What You Started. What a great song. Al comes in with all kinds of flip around, turn around beats in the beginning, and I'm going to play kind of close to what he did, but he even improvises it live. So it's one of those things where he's keeping the rim going on quarter notes. So he's hitting the 1, 2, 3, 4 over and over again on a tom rim, and then he's flip-flopping between the kick and snare. It's such a cool groove, and what's really, really cool about it, after all this flip-flopping around, when the groove actually kicks in after the fill, instead of going to a big double crash or a crash cymbal, he goes right into the hat. So it's and he's right in with the groove, and that's such a cool thing. I've always been into like cymbal control because I've in the past been kind of a cymbal abuser, I call it, because sometimes you hit too many crashes and you're always worried about that excitement, so you always go nuts on the crashes. Sometimes that space of no crashes has such a great impact. So this is a great example of that.
1, 2, 1, 2. Come on, baby.
So the intro, it's completely improvised and nothing repeats, which is, I think, so cool. So I'm going to give a little example of what I would interpret that to be. Again, quarter notes on the rim, flip-flopping between the kick and the snare. So in the intro groove, Al's hitting that rim on the quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it never stops. So it allows him to flip flop the beat, but that something needs to pulse. That would kind of take the place of a hi-hat or a ride cymbal. So practice doing things like that. Beat turnarounds, put your metronome on 70, 80, really slow. Hit quarter notes like that on something, and mess with putting the kick instead of on 1 and 3 all the time, putting it on 2 and 4, reversing the beats, flipping stuff around. You can have a lot of fun and use your imagination to be creative. So after that intro groove, Al comes in with a very simple fill, and then boom, right into the hi-hats, no crash. And it's a very simple 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And sometimes the most simplistic beat like that is the most powerful and effective groove. And this is one of those songs that definitely proves that. So check out Finish What You Started. So the awesome thing about playing with David Lee Roth is we got to do a lot of the giant Van Halen hits that everybody knows on the radio. You've heard a million times. And you heard of the Burger King drive-thru, as Dave says. But Dance the Night Away is one of those iconic songs. That cowbell hi-hat intro is just such an amazing thing with Eddie's flair and technique that he has. So the intro that I did was something like this.
From across the room, it's just
Okay, so everyone, that Dance the Night Away groove, when you hear on the radio, is so iconic. That like rock Latin mix between the cowbell and hi-hat, just such a hit you over the head, and it's such a beautifully written song and bright and cheery. But basically, he's hitting the cowbell and the hi-hats, and it separates kind of like this. So I love the way Alex opens the hat gradually to get ready for that super iconic fill. When I played this with David Lee Roth years ago, you could see everybody in the crowd air drumming that fill. What an iconic intro to set up this great song. So if you notice, the cowbell does a turnaround in there. It starts on the beat, but then it flips around when the guitar intro comes in. And I've always loved that about that. Alex is very clever at doing stuff like that. There's a lot of cool beat turnarounds and a lot of iconic songs, and that's just such a cool thing. So now let's get to the actual groove. What's cool about Alex's textures on the hi-hats always amazed me. Sometimes he's just straight ahead eighth notes. Sometimes there's various open hi-hats here and there. This flavor of a groove in Dance the Night Away has always been one of my favorites, and the verse sounds like this. Now, if you notice the groove on that, it's so cool the way Alex makes the hi-hats kind of swell into the snare drum groove. You know, the kicks on the 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1. Super simple, super danceable, groovy, sexy, all that. It's awesome. So during the chorus, Al likes to open the hi-hats up a little bit to lift that chorus up, to bring it to the next level. The same kick pattern, the 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3. And now sometimes when I would play with David Lee Roth, I would actually use the crash cymbal in the choruses. Dave really loved that, you know, fill up the chorus thing, you know, so I'd always do the crash cymbal. So it sounds something like this. So that's Dance the Night Away. Such a great song. I still love it when I hear it on the radio today. Made so many years ago, and it still holds great and true today. So Dance the Night Away, check it out. One of my favorite songs off of Women and Children First is Everybody Wants Some. It's got that iconic drum tribal feel in the beginning. It's pretty simplistic, but the feel and the swagger to it's amazing. And I used to love this one because Dave would walk out and talk to the crowd and dazzle them. So this is my interpretation of Everybody Wants Some. Keeping 4 on the floor planted on this, and there's kind of like a riding an eighth note groove on the floor tom. So it's kind of this chugging thing. And then between the two rack toms, he's hitting that the 1, 2, and 3, 4, 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 1. And it's kind of repetitive over and over again. We used to have fun with this song live because it would take Dave a long time to get out to the front and he would talk to the crowd. So it's a really fun groove to do some improvising on and random cymbal crashes here or there. So it's a really fun groove. So it's really cool when that builds. There's a big kind of crescendo that comes in between the snare drum and the floor tom and kick drum to get into the groove. Now when Alex plays that groove, it's reminiscent of the tom pattern, but it's different now because now you're on the hat with the 4 on the floor planted, and it sounds like this. So now that the vocals are in on the verse, Al kind of holds back a little bit and does a more sparse tom pattern. It sounds like this. And one of my favorite parts of Everybody Wants Some is Alex's eighth note bell ride. And I love the way he just nails it, and it's so loud in the mix on many songs. On 1984, his ride cymbal is so loud on that record, and I love it. And Everybody Wants Some, in the bridge section, he does a pattern that sounds like this. So out of the second chorus, Alex goes into this snare groove that's on all 4. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the hats. And then right after that, he goes into his iconic ride. He's kind of slamming all the eighth notes with the shoulder of the stick on the bell. Makes a really, really piercing sound. A lot of drummers are always having problems with that. Like, how do I get that sound? They're hitting with the tip, or they're trying to... If you lay that shoulder of the stick into the bell and you make good connection with it, it's going to pierce. It's going to fly through, and you're definitely going to be audible. So it sounds something like this. Like the crescendos in this song. So for being a rock song, it's kind of cool to bring the dynamics down a little bit and swoop into the chorus. To me, it really hits a lot harder. And Alex does a really great job of that in this by, you know, full blown, going into the last chorus, he's actually hitting the ride, snare, and kicks all together, building a nice crescendo like this. I really like the chorus groove. It's reminiscent of that tom pattern, but it's a cool little snare skip in there. It sounds like this. And what's really cool about that groove is when you plant that 4 on the floor, it's such a solid foundation that you can dance around on the snare drum like that and do pretty much anything, but Al keeps it pretty consistent, and it's just still a groovy, dancey thing. All right, everyone, that was Everybody Wants Some. Another great Van Halen song. Check out Women and Children First. What a great record.
Jump!
Jump, I mean, this, would it go like double diamond and beyond? I think it's one of the highest selling records of that time. And a lot had to do with this huge song called Jump. And that was the song that we would encore with David Lee Roth. I think pretty much every show I ever did with him in 8 years. It's that big. And man, when people hear that key in the beginning, it's like you just hear the roar of the crowd. So Alex plays a very simple 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, pretty much throughout the song, and it's awesome. The hi-hats have a lot to do with the swing and the sway of it. It's kind of a simple groove, but it's the way you make it dance. It's a very kind of happy song, you know, and so a lot of it's your attitude behind that simple groove. A lot of drummers have this thing about like, oh, I can play that in my sleep. Well, that may be true, but if you really get inside the song and feel what you're playing, you want to make it happy. You want to make it dance. So that's a big part of this song. You know, when we would go into this live, everybody had smiles on their faces, and it was just like a celebratory song, and the confetti pops, and Dave's jumping off the riser, and it's just an amazing, awesome thing. So that groove is simply this. So that intro fill is another one of those fills that you see, look out in the audience, you see everybody, they're doing that fill, right? So obviously I would do that every single night we play that song. Sounds like this. So in the pre-chorus of Jump, it's a really cool bell to crash cymbal pattern that Al does. And even in the solo section, there's some cool turnaround things as Alex is famous for. Sounds like this. Now in that pre-chorus, it's really important. Like I know myself, when I'm playing drums, I don't really play drums. I'm not, you know, singing the kick and snare patterns in my head. I'm always singing melodies, and I have a melodic sense about my playing. And Alex definitely had that. I mean, if you hear that pre-chorus, the way the bell and the crashes and the accents are going together, it really follows what the keys are doing and Eddie's guitar playing. So I always encourage drummers to think that way when you're playing, you know. Listen to the band a lot. Listen to what the vocal's doing. Listen to your bass player. Listen to your guitar player. And it makes your drumming way more musical when you do that. So there it is. That's Jump, one of the most iconic Van Halen songs of all time. I mean, that drum intro is one of the most iconic drum fills and drum intros of all time. When you hear that on the radio, you just crank it up automatically, right? So, you know, there's been a lot of controversy on what's the intro. Is that Alex playing? Is it a Lamborghini? Is he using electronic drums? On and on and on, right? There's different ways to interpret it live, and this, I just played you the way I kind of interpret it, and I've spoke with Greg Bisonet about it. It's totally different the way he does it, the way a lot of other drummers do it. It's all about that double bass shuffle, right? That groove intro has to be nailed, right? So, and I had some problems with this back in the early days, that shuffle double bass almost becoming like a 16th, and not swung, right? So there's a fine line. You know, you see drummers sometimes play. It's like this in between thing, right? So there's an exercise I do a lot to fill in that extra triplet. So if you're shuffling your kick drums, and I'm always a right hand lead kind of guy, so my right foot is planted, so I'm going da 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 da. A lot of right-handed drummers play right, left, right, left. I'm just kind of weird like that. It always felt better to me to have the right foot planted. So this is an exercise I do that'll kind of help you out in your shuffle. So basically what I'm doing is straight 16-note triplets over top of the shuffle. Why do that? Because that extra note is the filler between the shuffle. So if you hear any flamming in there, you're not nailing the note, right? This really helps that intro groove out, that classic Alex Van Halen. Now, another super iconic thing is that bell pattern he does. It's not just straight quarter notes, right? There's a bounce on the second note. So that whole thing with the ride is super mega important once you get the shuffle done. So that groove a little bit slower to show you that bell pattern sounds like this. Up to speed. So Alex goes to the closed hats in the verse. So sometimes with double bass drummers, you have a little clutch that can throw the hats down to a certain setting for double bass, so you don't have to, you know, obviously have their hats too far open. But it's still an energetic kind of thing, right? It's still kind of open. It's not too tight, not too closed. Up to speed. And that's the iconic Hop for Teacher. It's a super fun groove to play. You guys that have never played double bass before, try it. It's so much fun. And thank you, Alex, for writing such an amazing, iconic drum part intro. So Alex has inspired me for so many of my grooves, as he has for you guys as well. You know, we have this memory bank kind of stored in us, in this giant vocabulary of everything that inspired us from childhood. And it kind of comes through your playing, you know, and your personality speaks out, but so do all of your influences. And there's a song that comes to my mind called You'll Never Find Me, and it was off of our record Korn the Nothing. And it was heavily influenced by Al with the 16th note hi-hat pattern to the like mini marching kind of thing on the snare. And just the overall groove has that Alex Van Halen kind of feel to it. So this is You'll Never Find Me. here. Mike Portnoy is here in the house. Okay, everyone, it's Ray Luzier from Korn. On behalf of Modern Drummer Magazine, we're here at the Grand Cayman Islands. This IronShore Studios is phenomenal. Like, so inspirational. I walked in here, amazing. Getting to play Alex Van Halen's kit, what a blast. Good luck to everyone. Super huge congratulations to Alex Van Halen. You deserve everything. Thanks for the decades and decades of amazing music, depth and feel, for inspiring all of us, for pushing people to go new levels on their craft like drumming. Thank you so much. Peace out.